Hey guys, Parker here. Today we got another Junkyard video coming out. It's going to feature some cool cars that I want your guys' opinion on. So let's get started. My 96 Chevy Silverado is going to be going up for sale in about a day or two, with the auction ending next Sunday. I'm going to be looking for a new project car, maybe even a Junkyard Rescue, if I'm lucky. I need to break 1,000 subscribers to make that happen. So, like and subscribe. Now, I'm looking for a project car, like I said, and these cars in the junkyard are perfect candidates. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the video. Quick note, when I recorded these videos, I did not turn my microphone on because I was just starting to use them, and my videos have no audio, so my narrator voice is going to have to fill you in. This is a 4th gen Ford Explorer. And as you can see, it's well used, well trashed, well thrashed. There's stickers everywhere, the seat is destroyed, and it's probably a bad transmission that put this thing in the junkyard because that's a common problem on these. It is the V6. I'm pretty sure it was a Cologne or a Vulcan engine. But it has the crack, as they all did, on the rear sill plate. And this yard, like I said, is full of cool cars, including this GMT 400 GMC Sierra. This is actually a first year GMC Sierra, which is interesting because I recently did a video on a first year GMT 400 Chevy Silverado. This one has an aftermarket bucket seat in the middle, which is pretty weird. The gauge cluster was missing, unfortunately, so I couldn't see the miles. But four-wheel drive, it is the SLE. And then I'm just looking at the VIN. I did get the VIN on a couple of these cars, so I'm going to do some research, and I might buy one of them. This truck, though, is probably off the list, as it has body damage, it's rough, it needs paint, and I'm not doing any paint work. What's left of a square body is next to it. No diesel, though, so let's move on. Coming up here, we got a Chevy Venture, which I kind of like these U-body vans. I don't know why. They just are so cool. Maybe because it's related to the Pontiac Aztec. But yeah, mid-2000s Chevy Venture. I'm guessing about an '02. There's towels on the dash, which probably isn't a great sign. There's no keys. And no CD player. There is some gas station sunglasses, though. The seats are in abnormally nice shape. And I can't see the miles, unfortunately, because this is one of the Ventures that has the digital odometer. But it is pretty nice inside, aside from all the junk. The sliding door did not open, so I could not get back there. But there's some Rangers and a Mazda B series Ford Ranger. Anyway, we didn't look at that because not really worth my time. There are some Chevrolet Astros, though. They have the slant noses, too. I also, in town, saw for sale a hopped-up GMC Safari of the same generation. Now, there's some Safaris and some old 80s Mopar vans. This, I'm pretty sure, is a Dodge Ram van. It's the very light-duty one. No options. Manual windows, which I've never seen. The windshield is completely smashed. It took me a minute to figure out this was a 4-digit odometer, but it read 2,238 miles, which there's no way that is accurate. And then to the left, we've got a Dodge Caravan with the V6. And this van is the whole reason I was there. I had known this Chevy Lumina was there for a while. The body is very straight. There's no broken glass. Does need some paint work, though. But wait till I show you guys the interior on this thing. It is mint. None of the doors opened from the outside, so you're going to see me fighting with the door handles. I did have to go in through the back hatch, which you'll see in a minute. But yeah, around the back, very straight. Like I said, the paint is completely gone. And there was tumbleweeds everywhere, so that's why I'm walking around everything. I was wearing pants, but not the kind that stops tumbleweed pricklies. After fighting with the exterior door handles, I eventually figured out the way I needed to get in. So I climbed in through the back. And the seats, as you can see, are all there. They are all in good shape, which is good for me. And this van is a very base van. It has the 3.1 liter and a 3-speed column shift automatic, which I'll show in a minute. It had 188,000 miles, and water has been getting in, unfortunately, but the door is still in pretty decent shape. It has all the keys, and they did turn in the ignition. And it has power locks, too. And looking at the seat, it is very nice, with only crease. This van could just use a good cleanup, and it has an airbag, which is unusual, but it is a 95. And the interior door handles do work, by the way. I'm just fighting with them here. And here is the 3.1 litre V6 I was telling you guys about. It is very dirty. The common problem with these 3.1 liters is the head gaskets pop. You guys let me know if you want to see this on the channel. I would sure love to drag this home someday. Remember how we were talking about the U-bodies earlier? Here you go. A prime example of a weird one. This is a Buick Rendezvous. Most people hate these, but I like them. Until they got the 3.5 liter and 3.6 liter. But this one has the 3400. I'm pretty sure it's at about an 02. Seats are pretty nice. Does have the black ice air freshener. Very lovely. Broken glass everywhere. The seat's very nice. And the center console is peeling a little. There is some body damage to the rear, but under the hood is probably the real reason why these are here. By the way, all these cars were picked up from an auto auction in Reno, apparently. And there you go. 3400 V6. But this is a prime example of what's wrong with these 3400s. The intake gaskets pop, and so can the head gaskets. Alright, going around the back here, we have some Xteras, a torn-up Sable, some Aerostars, we'll look at those later. But here is a car I've had an obsession with since the first time I've came to this yard. Keep in mind, I was about 5. But this is a 2002 Dodge Intrepid. Now, this car is a very base car. It's spec'd exactly like a rental car, except for the color. It has the 2.7 liter V6, which is a very odd displacement, if you ask me. Comment below what you guys think. But it is starting to snow, by the way. Now, I could not get the driver's door open to see the VIN tag. Yeah, could not get to that. That's only the tire pressure information. So I had to close the door as best I can. Sorry guys, I did not look at this Thunderbird. So inside of said Intrepid, very bland back of the center console, but cloth, very tan. Everything is tan except for the center console. We do have the white gauges though, I kind of like that. There's the Mopar window switches, which my car has. I'm fiddling with the hood latch here, epilepsy warning. But overall, a pretty base car. I'd really love to get this thing home and, maybe even paint it. Get a cheap Mako paint job done on it. But we're going to go into the hood in a minute. But, like I said, very tan. I did not see if it has keys. That might be an issue. I'm pretty sure pass lock was new for 02. But under the hood, there is some minor body damage. The hood struts were junk, so I have to hold it. But it is a 2.7 liter V6, which, again, is an odd displacement for me. Looking at the emissions label, I was not able to find the engine displacement at this time. I don't know where that would have been, but I kind of like that heart-shaped intake. On to the next car. So here we have a Ford Aerostar, but this isn't just any Ford Aerostar. This is an Eddie Bauer Aerostar. Very interesting color carpet choice. But there is the fine leather from Eddie Bauer. And it has keys, believe it or not. And look at those colorful buttons on the door. Automatic transmission. There was actually a manual transmission one down the row. VCF gauge cluster. Oh, and there's coins in there in the glove box. I just noticed that. Should have grabbed those. But under the hood is the 4-liter Vulcan V6. I'm pretty sure these had transmission issues. That might be why these are here. But like I said earlier, these are from an impound auction from Reno. So we're not really sure what is wrong with any of them. But I might come rescue this thing someday, because it's probably the nicest of the bunch. And it's an Eddie Bauer. I mean, come on. I mean, it's going to have some mechanical and cosmetic issues, but get the mechanical issues fixed and you've got yourself a driver quality vehicle. And this one has the heads off. This one's probably the parts car of the group, because once you see the inside, there is nothing left. The odometer was reading 26,000 miles, probably 326. Actually, 226. It's a Ford. Now, this Aerostar right here is probably the nicest of the bunch. Like I said, the paint's in pretty good shape. And the seats are immaculate. But there is your manual transmission, 5-speed. And the original cassette deck is in it too, which is kind of surprising. Here we have a pretty weird car, a Ford freaking Contour. Now, most people don't like these cars. Most people who know about them don't like them. This is a very base car. Automatic transmission, which is a pretty costly option, I think. Books everywhere. And then there's your cassette deck. This thing had 207,000 miles on the end of its life, which is pretty big. It was almost about to go to 208 in 100 miles. Manual windows. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was actually a carryover car from Britain, based off the Ford Mondeo with minor changes. Tell me what you guys think. Here we finally got a real reliable car. Nah, I'm just kidding with you guys. This is a 1995 Toyota Camry. But not just any Toyota Camry. This is a Toyota Camry long roof, the wagon. I've never gotten to look in one of these before, because they're kind of interesting apart from the normal Camry. The biggest difference, obviously, being the much longer roof. Coming around the side here, we got a Chevy Equinox. And then we're going to look inside. This thing held up really well. And it's got a lot of miles on it. Automatic transmission, unfortunately. I want to find a manual transmission Camry one day. It's got keys, but this thing had 285,000 miles on it. Missing the face for the head unit, and it's not in the glove box, unfortunately. This was a smoker's car, very disgusting. This car being the Camry long roof, it had 2 rear wipers, which is bizarre to me. This is the LEV6 top tier Camry. For those of you who like late 80s, early 90s GMs, I do not disappoint. This is a 1993 Pontiac Grand Prix, and it's been used. I'm pretty sure this thing had like 217,000 miles on it by the end of its life. Now, this has a Corsica steering wheel and steering column. I'm not sure what happened there, and why would you change out a steering column? But it does have the cassette player. CD player might have been optional, being a 93. But you've got your side dash controls, which I think is kind of funny. It had anti-lock braking system labeled on the brake pedal. There was a Hot Wheels car there, too. I should have grabbed that. But around the back here, we got our trunk space. These tail lights are really cool. Moving out of the trunk space here, we've got more view of the tail lights. Those are kind of like the LED tail lights today. Now, this car is pretty straight, but it is very rough. And then the dash buttons, which are kind of fun to push around. This car is a bench seat car, and it's very base. And under the hood, which the hood is very rough in itself, which goes to show how bad this car is. It's been used, and it's had a hard life. Under here it shows 3.1 liter multi-port fuel injection V6, the second 3.1 we've seen today. Oil was dark but not milky, which shows this engine might be good. This might run. So this might be a candidate for a rescue. You guys need to tell me what you think down below in the comments. Here we've got a car I've never seen before, a 1985 Mazda 626. But not just any 626, a 626 GT Turbo. This car was actually pretty high-tech for its day. Power everything. Power windows, power locks, power mirrors. And this thing had a ride-leveling suspension system. The seats are not mint, but they're okay, considering how old this car is. Moving to the outside, this car is very, very rough. I could not get the hood open, but I know the 4-cylinder turbo still lives under there, which this car might not be a good candidate because it has the same engine that my 1991 Mercury Capri had. I did not feature this car on the channel, but like I said, this car is very rough. I couldn't get the hood open, like I said, so I don't know the mechanical condition, but this is what concerns me most. That looks like a crease in front there. It's got some body damage, and it needs paint, and let's face it, nobody wants an 80s Mazda. I like old hybrids for some reason, and here's one here, an old Honda Civic hybrid. This car, outside, isn't that great. It's got a miscolored bumper, it's been wrecked at some point. The transmission's probably what put this car here. Mazda didn't exactly have the greatest reputation with transmissions in this era. Or it could have been the hybrid battery. This thing is sitting really high in the front, though, which is kind of a suspicion to me. But around the back, it does have a sort of miscolored bumper. I don't know how well you guys can see that. But it still has plates on it. And then there's your hybrid badge, gasoline electric. And inside the passenger side, it's just as nice, not too shabby. There's your handbrake there. Not much really going on here. It's a really boring car. And then Galley's Locks. That's actually a business in the next town over, which is kind of interesting to me. Maybe this was his commuter car, and he junked it. Aftermarket radio. Not really much to see here. Manual windows, though. And of course, they still work. Now, this car isn't very Malaise era by most people's standards, but I'd still love to have it on the channel. I need to know what you guys think, because I might bring a Saturn hybrid here someday. Comment below. Here is evidence of a very bad rollover wreck. This is a 2005 Ford Explorer. Used to be one, rather. There is a 4.6 V8 living in the hood, under the hood of this one, or where the hood should be, I should say. This thing got wrecked very hard. I don't know what this thing hit, but it was bad. But there's your little V8 badge, all that's left of this truck. But there's some more Junkyard dogs for you guys. I need to know what you guys think and what you guys might like to see, since I am in for a project car now. Like and subscribe, comment below, and see what you think. I'll see you guys later.
What the dog doing?
90s.